Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! So my partner and I were looking for a place to live in a new city where she had just accepted an internship that didn't pay but would hopefully open big opportunities in the future. I travel for work, so it's easy for me to live anywhere. We looked and looked, but there was nothing in our price range, so we increased a few $100s and finally found a house. It was a bit pricey for what it was, but we weren't finding any better places. The lease term was written as 1 or 2 years, and we went ahead and submitted an application, which we were pretty confident about since we have good credit and my job pays pretty well. We specified that we wanted the 1-year lease as her internship was only 1 year long. So a few days go by and we hear back from the agent. Our application was accepted, but the owner wants $150 more rent than was advertised per month, since we were only wanting to sign the 1-year lease. I mentioned that it seemed unfair that she had taken our $100 application fee before telling us about this price increase, but I kept it pretty civil since I didn't want to burn a bridge for the only viable option we had. She assured me condescendingly that this was perfectly legal and that the owner was entitled to it since he might have to go through the rental process again in a year. And since the rental market was so tight, they could do whatever they wanted. And she was right. We had no other options. So I told her that I was so sorry and that I would call her back after discussing it with my partner. We were so frustrated. The place was so expensive for what it was, especially considering the condition that it was in. It really was tiny. The bedrooms were about 10 by 10, which made me feel a little bit claustrophobic. And the walls were very dirty from the former tenants who apparently had a couple big dogs living inside. There were literally dirt and grease smeared around the walls on the entire interior at about the height of a large dog. The yard was overgrown and trashed, but the lease stated that the tenants would be responsible for all the landscaping and even specified that we had to keep the lawn in good condition. The lawn was about 2 foot high, completely dead weeds. All of this we convinced ourselves that we could deal with. Scrub the walls and paint, get a lawnmower off Craigslist and pony up the water bill for resurrecting the lawn. Be minimalistic with our positions. Hopefully the new paint would take care of the lingering dog smell. We have paid $50 each for the application fee and now felt as if we have been baited and switched. But had no other good options and our deadline was coming up fast. My partner was crying and we both felt like homeless misfits that were terrible at life. I couldn't sleep in our hotel that night, but when I pulled up my bookmarked Craigslist housing searches, I saw something new. A place that looked nice and was about $500 cheaper than the house. Actually inside our original price range. I cautioned myself that it was probably a scam but sent an email anyways. And in the morning I got a phone call from a nice old man. I set up an appointment and it was great. Spacious, clean, and much cheaper. The landlord liked us, so we signed the lease the same day. We felt so lucky and happy. We were still angry about the other house. The agent had taken our $100 and raised the price on us, probably because she knew how tight the rental market was in the area and that we may not have other options. It had been just 1 day since she informed us about the $150 monthly price increase. I typed an angry email about how we were baited and switched, and so on, but knew that it probably wouldn't get us our $100 back and that they will probably barely even read it. I asked my partner if I should send it, and she then came up with a brilliant plan to get back at them. Do nothing. First, I deleted the email without sending it, and we moved into our new place. A few days went by and I got a text message from the agent of the other house asking if we were still interested. I replied that we were still very interested and that we had gone on a trip but would be back in a week or so and would meet up to sign a lease then. She replied that since we were well qualified, that would be fine as long as we were sure we wanted the place. So we started settling into our new place and enjoying ourselves. About 10 days later, I received a call from the agent who seemed to have forgotten about us until then, and she was frantic about getting the lease signed. I made up excuses. My partner was very ill. We need a few more days. We are still 100% interested, and I will call her on Monday to set up a meeting. On Monday, I typed up an email. Sorry, but we decided not to move in after all. Thanks anyways. My partner and I smiled nervously together as we shut the email off. The phone rang almost immediately. It was the agent. I exchanged looks with my partner and answered it, putting her on speakerphone. She was very upset that she hadn't shown her place for over 2 weeks and that her well-qualified tenants were dropping out. She pleaded with me to reconsider. What if I drop the price back to the original price in the ad? She asked with desperation heavy in her voice. I pretended to think about it. I looked over at my partner and she was silently laughing and hiding her face in her arms, overcome with emotion. I could feel the tension on the line as the agent hung on my next words. Yeah, sorry, no. I cheerfully declined. The agent was distraught and I hung up. My partner's plan had worked perfectly. We felt avenged, and the next time, maybe, she will think twice before bait and switching. So a few years ago, I was a student studying in childcare. Now, as a part of my course, I'm meant to work 1 day a week in a private nursery. For people who don't know what a nursery is, it's basically preschool, I think, for experience. So whilst I was there for a year, I became very close with the staff members and the children that were there. During the summer, a new child was enrolled into the nursery. We will call the little girl Mary. Now, Mary is an adorable little girl who likes to jump around and give everyone hugs and kisses. A ball of fluff is what she is. Mary is a bit slightly chubby for a 3-year-old, but that's okay, no problem with a little bit of chub. But her mom thought otherwise. Her mom, whom we will call Karen, is this tall white lady who is American, who moved to our country last year. Mary didn't look anything like Karen. Mary is a black child, but that isn't a problem to us since everyone's families come in different sizes and shapes, but I had to point this out since it'll become important later. The nursery closes around 6 p.m. since we are a private nursery, but Karen always comes late by an hour to pick up Mary. Now, usually we would give the parents an hour time limit to pick up the children before we hand out warnings, and if a third warning is invoked, well, I think the manager said she will call Child Protective Services. Now, Karen always takes the piss and ensures she picks up Mary barely before the hour. She would show up with a flush red face, a tight slim skinny dress, and caked in excessive amounts of makeup. Now, this isn't a big deal until the summer trip starts coming around the corner. It was a trip to a big theme park in my country. Everyone was buzzed, especially the staff members, since this is a basically free trip for them since the nursery is paying for it. The children will be with their parents or guardians, so we don't have to take care of them, and we can just go wild with the rides. On the day of the trip, Karen came along as usual in a tight dress, high heels, pungent perfume, and excessive amount of makeup. It looks like she's dressed for some sort of formal party, whilst the other parents are dressed in casual clothing, preparing themselves for war. Remember, us staff members don't have to look after the kids on this trip, and it's the parents/guardians' responsibility to do so. Before we left for our trip, Karen noticed one of the children, a beautiful toddler whom I'll name Anna, with blonde pigtails and bright blue eyes. Karen walked up to her mother, whom she held hands with, and said something quite disturbing to the point Anna's mother requested us staff to help keep a distance from her. The exchange went as follows. "That's a cute girl," Karen said. Thank you. She's our pride and joy." Anna's mom replied back, "She has such beautiful, crystal blue eyes and blonde hair. Her skin is so fair and pale." Yeah, she's beautiful. Now, Anna's mom was a bit creeped out. "I wish Mary looked like her." Anna's mom looks at Mary and says, Mary is also a beautiful girl too." Karen scoffs and says, "Yeah, right. I want a baby girl like yours." She looks closer at Anna and strokes her blonde hair. Anna's mother was creeped out by this and pulled Anna away from Karen before quickly heading to us for some help. With our help, we assigned Karen and Mary to sit at the very back of the bus whilst Anna's family sat in the front to keep some distance. Once we got to the theme park, everyone was let loose and the parents/guardians were in for a treat. Whilst us staff and students went nuts on the rides, basically just having a blast. Until it was nearing late afternoon, we were all getting hungry, so we walked over to the food court. And there we saw an unpleasant sight. Karen was drinking some beer at one of the far back tables, talking on her phone whilst Mary was asleep in her buggy. We looked at this scene with disgust and we walked over. The exchange went as follows after Karen noticed us and put down the phone.
"Oh, hello there."
"Hello, ma'am, enjoying the trip?" I asked.
"Oh, I wish. It's been so boring, tiring, my feet ache from walking around and it's so bloody hot."
She was wearing a tight black dress and tall black heels. Of course she's going to get tired. I see. Did you two enjoy any of the rides?
"Yes, Mary enjoys a merry-go-ride more than anything."
I want to note that there was no merry-go-round in the theme park, by the way. I seated myself along with two other staff members with Karen to get to know her and see if she was okay because I can tell she was kinda tipsy with her skin all flushed. We kept an eye out for her and just kept talking and drinking until finally, things took a turn for the worst. She talked about things we couldn't believe.
"You know, I never wanted a child, but my husband adopted Mary from one of his African trips because according to him he felt like he had to, and he sees her as his own flesh and blood."
She scoffs as she drinks more. The husband is a journalist who travels a lot. Oh, that's nice of him. I'm sure Mary will grow up to be a healthy, beautiful girl. Karen scoffs again.
"Yeah, right, beautiful. Back in America, beautiful white girls are always the most popular ones in high school," and
she mumbles quietly. Pardon? I was shocked.
"Her skin is so black. I wonder if there was a bruise, would anyone be able to see it?"
I looked at the other two staff members with worry, but they nodded as they quickly rushed over to Mary to check if she was okay and see if there were any signs of abuse, whilst I kept Karen occupied with idle talk. Luckily, Mary didn't have any signs of abuse, but since Karen was a bit tipsy and tired, one of the staff members took Karen back to the bus to rest, whilst the bus driver kept a close eye on her. We took Mary after getting a drunk consent from Karen and took her on children rides that she'll enjoy, like the elephant ride and the airplane and the baby roller coaster and more. We still had our fun until it was time to gather back at the meeting point around the evening. We quickly informed the manager what we had heard and expressed our concern, and the manager took it into consideration. Once we got back, apparently the manager contacted Karen's husband and informed him of what had been said and how she's been treating Mary, and also to pick up Karen since she was a bit tipsy. Not sure what the husband did after learning all of that. The very next week, Karen came into the nursery quite early, which was unusual, to pick up Mary. Anna and her mother was passing by her in the hallway to go home when suddenly Karen grabbed Anna by the arm and screamed,
"I want this child! Give her to me!"
"What's wrong with you? Let go!" Anna's mother yelled back. All the staff members quickly rushed over to the scene to pull Karen away. Anna was crying in pain and fear with her mother grabbing her away from Karen and hugging her protectively.
"I deserve a beautiful white child. Give her to me, she's mine. I want a beautiful baby girl."
We restrained her with 3 men holding her down. We quickly contacted the police and her husband. Everyone was informed to leave early that day, including the cleaners, especially since I was a student. So I left early because of the ruckus. But some stayed back to give a witness statement. Afterwards, according to one of the staff members, Karen's husband argued hard with Karen in the nursery's office and basically threatened to divorce her, which got Karen crying. Karen's husband took Mary, with Karen basically hugging him by the leg, begging him not to leave her and that she was sorry. For a month, instead of Karen picking up Mary, it was either Mary's nanny or the husband. According to one of the nosy staff members, the husband had divorced Karen and got a restraining order against her because apparently when the husband went to visit Karen in jail, she tried to attack him for prioritizing Mary over her, and Anna's mom also sued her and got a restraining order. I am not sure what happened to Karen afterwards, but we at least know Mary is being well taken care of by her loving father, who treats her like a treasure regardless of skin color and thinks she is a beautiful baby girl. A lot of the staff members had a crush on him after this incident. Edit, I forgot to add that not all white Americans are like Karen. I only included her background of being American because she kept talking about her time in America and how in high school it's only the pretty white girls that are popular and good looking. No hate towards white American peeps. Edit 2, I'm not sure if Mary was adopted before or after the father was in a relationship with Karen, but I knew that their relationship was only about 2 years and a bit. This is about my granddaughter Lindsay. Now Lindsay, 15, has a tough being middle child and she looks different from her siblings. I truly was confused how she had blonde curly hair while the rest of the family has dark hair. I thought genetics was being weird and I love her. The issue came back when Lindsay told me that her parents banned her from getting an ancestry test. I told my son and daughter-in-law that there was something fishy around her birth she needed to know. They denied it and told me to leave it alone. Now Lindsay is in high school and she went to her biology teacher. To put it bluntly, the teacher said it was odd for her to have some traits. She came to me distressed, asking me to buy a DNA test since she needs to know. Long story short, she is not her mother's kid. Her bio mom gave her up. This has blown up the family while Lindsay is pissed to be lied to. I'm getting a ton of hate for getting her a DNA test. Now they won't talk to me, which is making Lindsay even more mad at them. Edit, because I have answered this multiple times. They were on the other side of the country when she was born, and I met Lindsay when she was about 6 months old. Really not hard to hide the whole thing. And now some comments on a post. Someone saying you're not the jerk. Your son and his wife suck for lying to her until she's 15 about something so important and trying to keep lying to her even after she obviously started to question things. There are medical reasons a person might need to know what their genetics are/are not, and if you hadn't helped her, she would have found out some other way. At least this way she knows she has one friend and Allie who will be honest with her, take care of each other during this difficult time. Another commenter adds, not the jerk, people have a right to know their genetic heritage. Lying about these things is linked to increased suicidal ideation, anxiety, and depression. You put her safety and comfort ahead of your son's preferences. My grandparents helped my parents lie to me about my adoption. Not only have I never forgiven any of them, I'm still in therapy over all of it. To answer some of the repeated nonsense here, parental rights do not have greater value than a child's right to access comprehensive medical care, and hiding an adoption does precisely that. Maybe some things like a child staying healthy should matter more than a parent's right to lie, gaslight, and manipulate their child as they see fit. A third commenter goes with, not the jerk. Her parents were causing her distress with their secret keeping and ham-fisted method of trying to stop her from finding out about the secret that basically involved telling her straight to the face that there was something about her ancestry they didn't want her to know, so she isn't allowed to get DNA tests. You aren't to blame for their poor handling of the situation that put the girl in distress and made her come running to you hoping to find the answers to the questions they stupidly made sure to tell her she should be asking. They had every opportunity to handle this in a mature and sensible way, but decided that would be too hard and awkward to deal with and stuck their heads in the sand. Seriously, the very instant they banned her from getting that test, the jig was basically up, and the only question was, what exactly are they hiding from me? So far as the girl they were lying to was concerned.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.